Welcome to Reeves Rants. Thanks for joining me. I got a great video for you today. This is one of the better videos I've ever brought you guys. This is Dan Pina, the billionaire. He has a real way of saying things. If this video does not make you question global warming and all the lies that have been told behind it, the inflated numbers, the evidence that we're seeing right in front of our faces, if all of that and this video don't make you question what's going on, but there's no way to get through to you. Because what this man is about to say is so clear-cut, factual, it should become the number one argument against the belief that we're destroying our planet. This video points out, I think, a side to this argument of global warming that most people, majority of people would never think of, and I myself didn't until I found this video. So with that being said, thanks for hitting that like and subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers and I really need your help. Let's roll into it.
Dan, you got the money, okay?
I got a few, Bob, yeah.
What do you people with the money, what are you doing about this? Because
I'm going to tell you right now.
Children. No, I've got children. I've got 21, 23-year-old children. And what's their future with you people with money? You talk about money all of the time.
Okay, you've asked your question. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm gonna answer.
I want to stop here for a second and point out this is part of the biggest problem with this global warming debate and most debates in general is that you get people who are very emotionally involved, who, you know, it's all about their children are going to suffer and, you know, all this feelings and emotion instead of facts and evidence. And we as people need to be concerned when we let ourselves get emotionally caught up into things instead of rationally thinking. This is what people do, is they purposefully get people like her emotionally charged up about things, knowing that a lot of evidence and facts are unimportant to people like that because they have a feeling about it. They're being emotionally used for this exact reason.
It's become very, very clear that the environmental causes at stake here are in deep tension with the working class. Now, that doesn't mean that environmentalism isn't important. It doesn't mean that climate change isn't happening and isn't something that we have to really do our best to take care of and to mitigate. But the Green New Deal, a lot of the stuff bound up in the environmental lobby is coming at the expense of the working class.
In 2011, my wife and I were in Antarctica. For most of you that don't know, Antarctica's on a mountaintop, okay? And there is a $500 million facility, scientific facility there, and the scientists came to give us presentations about global warming. And they had cores of ice that they had drilled. They had drilled 4,000 or 5,000 cores, and they only brought 15 or 20. So they're going through the second or third core, and they said, 275,000 years ago, this was the temperature, blah, 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 blah. And then 55,000 years ago, the world was 2 degrees warmer Celsius than it is today. This is 2011. And, stop. And he said, and I said, well, you mean the whole world? He says, yes. And the poles are only benchmarks. And I said, well, what about the things that the young woman alluded to, okay? And he said, it's all cyclical. And although the gas may have exacerbated it, in the cosmos of time, of the 13.8 billion years that we've been on this miserable planet, it's not a fart in the wind.
I'm not saying global warming isn't happening at all. As he just said, the use of fossil fuels may have exacerbated it, but all the things that are frozen in the ice now weren't frozen in the ice at one point. And we were probably here then. So we've gone through this. So we need to start looking at the actual evidence to point the right direction for us to go, instead of believing in our feelings because we're worried that it's all going to melt and we're going to drown.
Now, my direct answer to your question, if that were really true, what you believe, and let's just for a moment say that it is true, that means that the best scenario vis-a-vis global warming is about 10 feet raise in water. That's the best scenario over the next 40, 50 years. That's the best scenario. The worst scenario is about 100 feet.
If the best case scenario is 10 feet, we would already be seeing inches per year. Inches per year to get to 10 feet at the low end. So if we're on the high end, which if you go back and watch my video with about Dr. Roy Spencer, his temperature records, then you will see that we are on the way, way, way low end of the expectations of numbers. But if the low end is 10 feet, then we should be seeing inches per year by now. Evidence should start to show itself. Without evidence, you should start to question what's going on.
We've seen predictions not becoming reality, and climate change alarmist predictions being completely false.
There's been a lot of time passed to where we should have started to see a lot more effects of what we're being told than what we're seeing.
So how could I trust these warmers after so many dud predictions?
But let's just take the 10 feet. If the water on the planet is going to rise up 10 feet, that means the southern part of the United States is gone. England is gone. Most of Europe is gone. And I can go, most of Central America is gone. Okay. If that's the case, let's just take Florida, for example, which is one of the fastest growing beachfront condominiums on the planet. In the prospectus, when you invest, there should be, in the footnotes, if global warming is for real, they won't put it that way, global warming happens and water rises 10 feet, this investment you made is fuck all. Not one single investment prospectus written since 2000, this century, has alluded to global warming.
If you go to buy a house or property or anything that's a larger investment, the risks of your investment will be listed. If you go to buy a house that's in a floodplain, it will be listed that this is in a floodplain so that you can go get flood insurance. If there are certain parts of the house that weren't properly permitted because of the age of the home, that would be in there as risks to potential fire. These are all parts of what he's talking about. So the fact that they don't list global warming as a thing that could potentially cost billions of dollars, billions, maybe even trillions of dollars, if the sea levels actually start to rise, we will see all of these houses and all of these properties and all of this stuff start to actually become underwater. We talk about this stuff so much that we lose sight of the fact that it's supposed to happen. We can't keep just talking about it happening forever and then it never happened, but we're going to keep talking about it happening. It either is going to happen and we will either start to see the evidence that it will happen, or it's all just talk.
Not one motherfucker. If it were really true, the banks wouldn't invest. The banks wouldn't finance. Not one motherfucking condominium.
How dare you?
It is amazing, his argument. I mean, how do you go against that? Honestly, the banks are the greediest people in the world. Banks aren't out there helping you. How are they making all this money if they're out there helping you? But yet the banks are making billions and billions of dollars to lend out to people. Is it because they're making bad investments all over the place? Is it because they're lending people money for land that's going to be underwater? It's not to say that we're completely debunking global warming, but we are definitely questioning the extent that it's happening. And we should.
So the people that have the money, and I'm jealous of the vice president, Gore. I am jealous he came up with a scam before I did.
That's the thing we as human beings should be very cautious about, is why all of this is happening and all of the money that is being consolidated into the 1%'s hands. They're making more and more money off of green energy now. Meanwhile, we're not seeing any evidence for all the things they keep telling us are gonna happen.
Well, we're waiting.
We should see evidence by now. I'm 43 years old and I've been hearing about this since I was a kid. We should have seen acid rain by now. We should have seen ocean levels increased by 10, 12 feet by now in the last 40 years that they've been talking about it. What is the real evidence behind global warming? That's all I'm really asking. I'm not saying it is or isn't happening. I'm saying, how much is it really happening? Then we can know how it's really going to affect us. We can know how much we really need to change, how much we need to hurt people now to save people later.
Sometimes the level of, I think personally, you might disagree, that the level of Earth is doomed, there will be no life on this planet, will be uninhabitable. It sounds very sky is falling. Like there's a range, right, in how bad the outcomes from climate change will be, from like kind of bad to really bad, and we don't know exactly where we're going to land in that.
The green agenda that we see being pushed around the world today is going to hurt a lot of people for the supposed long-term betterment of the human species. But if that's the goal, then we have to start at a real number. This is just simple mathematics that aren't really adding up at this point.
Because the financial institutions, the banks of this world know it's not going to happen. Otherwise, you couldn't get a goddamn loan in London. You know those 30, 40-year mortgages? The world will be over by then. Is Barclays Bank going to give you a motherfucking loan? With the greatest respect, ma'am, it's the greatest fraud that's been perpetrated on mankind.
The mortgages that they gave out 30 and 40 years ago should have already started to see the impact of it. We can't keep saying something's going to happen and then it never happened, but we keep saying it's going to happen. All to victimize all of these people who truly believe that global warming is happening to the point that it is. That's kind of almost the worst part of this, is all of these people that are like the woman who started this, who are so emotionally involved in this that they just believe whatever. Those are the people who are the lie is being perpetrated against the most. Those are the people that then go out and fight with their families and come at Dan the way that she did and attack people, all with false pretenses. All with a lack of understanding of what's really going on because she's emotionally driven into the conversation. Our emotions are something that we need to disregard a little bit more and start to see the facts. With that being said, thanks for hitting that like and subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers and I really need your help. Thanks for watching. Later.